Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening, Nonie Darwish, a leading freedom fighter in the Western world today. She's also the author of several books, including Cruel and Usual Punishment, which deals with the barbarities of Islamic law. Evan Sayet, the #1 conservative comedian in the United States. He has also been ranked as being among the top 25 influential conservative Jews in America. And last but not least, from Finland, Olli Majoi. He has come here with a warning. Do not go the socialist and destructive path that Europe has gone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Jamie. Good to be here.
In this first segment, we are discussing the events of the week. I want to get to Putin's elections, or the corrupt elections. I want to talk a little bit about Nonie's expertise, which is Egypt and the Islamists coming to power. But let us first begin with what happened roughly a week ago. Goodbye, Herman Cain. Nonie Darwish, was this a racist, leftist, high-tech lynching of a conservative African American?
Well, the standards are very different between liberals and conservatives when it comes to, criticism of the media. If this was a liberal, it would be a badge of honor, like Clinton's charm was all about all his women affairs.
So, Nonie, would I be correct that Clinton had a harem of women and the media almost celebrated it? But if it's a conservative African...
And especially if it's an African American, then it's a lynching.
You think it's a lynching? And was it unfair? What happened?
Absolutely unfair. First of all, a lot of the women, nobody knew their names, and they started coming up, it's very unfair what happened to him, regardless whether he's going to win or not.
What does suspending a presidential campaign mean? Does it mean that he might come back?
I heard him today on Fox saying that he's not coming back.
Okay. But Nonie says that this is unfair and a leftist racist lynching. Evan Sayet, you know a little bit about sexual harassment because during your comedy tours, I've heard that you're always being harassed by women. Is this true?
It is true, but it's also part of the image. You know, showbiz is showbiz. Some of the girls...
But are you psychologically scarred from all the harassment from women? Sometimes?
No, I'm psychologically scarred that there isn't more of it.
Okay, Evan, Herman Cain, what do you think?
I don't think it's the sexual thing. I think because he's black, I think it's because that's the issue that they were able to grab onto. Had it been something else that they could have grabbed onto, look, no matter what, as soon as a black man had a chance of getting the Republican nomination, instantly they were going to find something to attack him with. It happened to be that they were able to find women who were willing to say that he did certain things.
When you said they... Who are you referring to? Is there an establishment out there?
You know what? There doesn't have to be an establishment. There's a group think amongst the left, whereby any time that the Democrat Party and the liberal agenda is threatened, they know what to do. The leftist media knows what to report and not what to report. If it's good for the Democrats, they report it. If it's bad for the Democrats, they don't report it. Yeah. If it's good for the Republicans, they don't report it. If it's bad for the Democrats, they do report it. And it's the same thing whether it's in the media or whether it's actually orchestrated by the Democrat Party. It's just they know what to do.
Olli Majoi, you're from Australia originally, so you probably don't even understand political correctness, period. Am I correct?
Well, actually, I'm from Finland originally, via Australia.
And then back to Finland?
Yeah, no, actually, from Finland, then to Australia, there 5 years, and then to America. But I can tell you,
I see. Okay.
Europe is much more politically correct than America. You think that you have problems here regarding that, it's much worse.
Okay, as an Australian and an individual from Finland, what did you make of the whole Herman Cain saga?
Well, I mean, it's true what's said here, but I'm also I had Evan, yes.
No. One of the 25 most influential Jews in America.
Right.
Okay.
Well, no.
Okay.
It's true that obviously the media is going to attack any Republican who's going to be in the lead. Whether it's going to be Newt or whether it's going to be Romney. But also, I gotta say, I was a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that he didn't know that China has a nuclear program. Obviously it didn't help when he was being interviewed about Libya and all those awkward pauses there. That can happen to anybody. You have a brain.
But aside from that, was it unfair how the media dealt with the harassment charges?
Yes, I'd say that the harassment charges definitely were a little bit. I mean, that's not really.
But European leaders are treated differently.
Well, that's right. I mean, France, in Sarkozy, he has public affairs with,
I think
With,
if,
with, with Herman
okay.
Cain.
I think if leaders don't have affairs, the Europeans think
That's why it's
something
like,
is wrong, right?
what's going with you?
But
Yeah.
there are actually two issues, two parts to the question. One is, was his treatment by the media unfair? Of course it was.
Well,
Two,
obviously.
would he have been the Republican Party nominee had this not come up? I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
that
I
he
don't.
showed himself to be a viable candidate. I struggled with his lack of ability to articulate his
Exactly.
positions.
Either he lacked advice or he didn't listen to a good advice. Like his handling of some of the issues was subpar.
Let's move on to Putin's power, the parliamentary elections or whatever we're going to call them over there. A lot of corruption. There's Russians out in the street opposing Putin. Many being beaten up and arrested. Nonie, what do you, as a person that comes from an authoritarian culture and society, what do you think is happening in Russia, and what do you think Putin is up to?
I think Putin represents the old system. He is a
He's
KGB.
the KGB, yeah.
He's a KGB, and it's not easy for a society to switch quickly. So he's still preserving the old ways of doing things. And hopefully the Russian people will outgrow it and stop this kind of elections.
Nonie, in the past when we had Ronald Reagan, we knew where the West stood. Ronald Reagan would support freedom fighters. Ronald Reagan would support the dissidents in the Soviet Union. Where is Barack Obama saying, Putin, you are a KGB scoundrel, you're a mafia man, and we, the United States, support the Russians on the street fighting for democracy?
Well,
why is Obama not doing
Obama
that?
is not having any stand against tyranny. To the country, he's having stands towards, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood of leaving tyranny to flourish. And
if you were to say strongly like, dislike, strongly dislike, what do you say about Obama for you personally?
Strongly dislike.
Strongly dislike. Evan, the whole Putin dilemma.
Here's how you have to look at this issue. If you look at it as a single policy, it's hard to understand. But if you put it in the context of the other places where there are authoritarian regimes and there have been uprisings, there have been attempts to find liberation, which he has chosen to strongly support and which he has not supported. He did not support the democratic uprising in Iran, but he did support the overthrow of Mubarak.
Absolutely.
All right, so when he's not being forceful in defending and championing the democratic lowercase d rights of the Russian people, this is not specifically about Russia. It's about if you go down a checklist of what Barack Obama does, anything that's good for the West, he opposes. Anything that's bad for the West, he supports. It would have been good for the West had the Ayatollahs been overthrown by a democratic regime, so he opposed it. It would have been good for the West if our ally Mubarak had been in power instead of the Muslim Brotherhood, so he opposed Mubarak. In the Soviet Union, in Russia, you'll remember early in his administration, one of the first things he did was unilaterally remove the defense shield, the missile defense shield from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
All right, so he's sitting there hitting the reset button.
He doesn't operate for American national interests.
No, he operates diametrically opposed to American interests.
Olli, can you give us what's the psychology here?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, it's true that Obama is cowers away from the tough decisions like that. But you can also remember that Putin, when he came to power, he was elected with 71%. Or re-elected rather, 71% votes. So he had enjoyed a huge popularity. At one point, it was over 80% approval rate.
Okay, just a second. Those are very... Okay, I'll say two things there. First of all, we don't know about those elections because there's so much corruption. But yes, you're saying that there's a problem in the Russian culture, society in general, a support for authoritarianism.
Right, they don't have a tradition of liberty or prosperity or individual freedoms.
But does this exonerate a despot that's oppressing his people, throwing Khodorkovsky into prison?
However, it is easier to understand why nobody has really stood up to him, because during his rule, the GDP rose in Russia by 72%. The poverty rate went down 50%. The average pay went up from $80 a month to $640 a month. It's hard to start opposing someone like that who's
And yet the
done-
people are in the streets.
Of course, that's true. But
Are you speaking on behalf of, in terms of why the Russian people seem not to be opposing him, or why Obama has a
why
responsibility?
Obama? Okay,
But-
I understand Obama has responsibility to say that there's something amiss in the Russian culture, but at the same time, it's hard to say that because Russians have this tradition of always having things like this in the same way. That there's never really an honest vote on anything.
We have come to the end of the first segment of the Glazov gang, but before we leave, 2 sentences from each of you on what you want to say. Nonie.
I think Obama is viewed internationally as weak, and we have our airplane that landed in Iran, and now he doesn't want to do anything militarily to take it out.
Yeah.
And this is gonna cause our military secrets to go to Russia and China. And he really big issues. He doesn't do anything
I
about
think
it.
in terms of foreign policy, would you agree that he's a disaster and a disgrace?
He is.
Evan, say it.
The only thing that Nonie said that I would adjust slightly is I don't think he's weak. I think he's accomplishing exactly what it is he wants to accomplish. He's very strong in attacking Israel.
Of course.
He's very strong in condemning Israel for building a house and an extension on a house in West Jerusalem. Yeah. He's very strong in calling for Mubarak's overthrow. He's not weak. He is, I have to say it point blank, he's anti-Western, anti-American.
Actually,
look, obviously when Medvedev became president and the next day appointed Putin as the prime minister, everybody knew that this guy's going to hold on to power like a barnacle. And it's hard to do anything about it. But yes, Obama, even in the crisis, I think it was Georgia when Russia was threatening to come to Georgia, his reaction was so lukewarm that obviously he doesn't really have the soul to do it.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of the first segment of the Glazov gang. Join us tomorrow evening for the second segment where we discuss Bye Bye Egypt.